Hey guys, hope you're well. Today I want to share with you something I've been working on trying to solve for a little while. So in my previous video I was talking a lot about working on kind of high level tasks, having leverage through people, teams, technology, automation and standard operating procedures, and working on $10,000 per hour tasks. This is a project template for managing your entire team, for figuring out what hires you need, for managing and working on strategies, overseeing execution, and then adding review processes and quality assurance processes within your business. This works in this example. I'm going to run you through it for an OF model. But this applies just as well to any other business. If you're working with systems, if you're working with teams, or if you're using SOPs, or you're looking to add in automation and so on, and you need a way to manage this stuff, this solves the problem just as well. I use this across my other businesses as well. I just think explaining an OF model is a little bit easier to understand for most people. And I would also look at an OF as working with an OF creator. It is a business. You are taking on that model as a business partner, quite literally. And as I think this will actually also help people who aren't in the OF business, who don't really understand how it works, to see how the agency actually operates in terms of growing that creator and the type of systems and everything that we have in place to do what we do. I tried to record this once already of me actually going through and filling out the template one by one, and I didn't even get past the second stage, and it was a 40-minute video, so I had to stop there. This is based on a real world example, but I've changed some of the stuff in here because some of the stuff I just don't really want to give away exactly. So we can think of this as a semi-filled out template. Here we have plan, execute, profit, scale, automate, exit. I think these are good categories to look to take any business through. Planning, what is the plan of action? Executing, actually getting the things done. Making a profit, I'll leave that up to you. Generally, I'm not operating in companies. I operate in small, medium businesses mostly. It's where I enjoy to work. So we don't operate in such a way. I'm looking to be profitable as soon as possible. And then I would look to scale. And then I would look to automate, and then I would look to exit. So this is a formula laid out for me, but feel free to reorder them as and when you see fit. And here you can just tick off based on whatever stage you're at. You may also find that you're working on profiting and scaling at the same time. That's completely fine. It's just to give you an outline and keep you on track of where you currently are in your stage. You may also be scaling and executing at the same time. We put up quick links, anything that's useful. Mostly this is just for me, by the way. I'll invite an assistant in here as well. But this has all of the intricacies of the business. I don't really want all of the team to have access. The only thing the team will have access to is to the SOPs and to some of the knowledge and kind of training resources. This is a management dashboard, let's say, rather than a execution dashboard. So we come into area number one, which is plan. What is the outcome goal? So again, just to keep this relatable, I think most people are going to be have financially driven goals. Personally, for me, financial wouldn't actually be the number one goal at the moment. Of course, I still do enjoy to make money, but it's much more about what I'm working on. Is this something interesting? Is this something where I'm going to learn new skills? Who are the people that I'm working with? Are they people I'm going to enjoy working with? Are we solving an interesting problem? Not necessarily trying to save the world, just working on something that I'm interested in pursuing and learning about. If you're going to choose to dedicate the next 6 months or the next year or the next however long to this project, it is worth making sure this is the right project to invest your time into. So I like to start off with what is the outcome goal? What makes this project a success for me? And I'll write that out here. There's no right or wrong answer. It's about what is right for you. What will make this project a success for you? What are you looking to achieve out of this? And then I like to work backwards from there. So again, money is quite a simple one to actually work backwards from. So that's why I've put it in here as an example. $250,000 per month in income, or you can say profit, just to be more clear. And so the reason it's easy to work backwards from here, is this the best project and the fastest way to achieve this goal? And I really like this question. So at the start of my career, I wouldn't have had so many options of what I can do. I was limited, but now the issue for me is figuring out what is the right opportunity for me to pursue and saying no to everything else. Because by default anyway, by me saying yes to this project, I am saying no to everything else. simply just due to like allocation of time or saying no to a lot of other opportunities. I'm shutting other doors. So it's worth me making sure, is this truly the best current opportunity that I have on my table in order to get me to this goal? We've worked out what you actually want, what you're looking to achieve. Is working with template model here the best way to get there? And just taking some time to actually think about that. Take the time to analyze what are the other options and what are like the pros and cons, and you can make a decision from there. And then asking to expand on these reasons. So what gives this project a unique opportunity compared to others? What makes this opportunity unique, and what gives us an advantage compared to like other projects that we currently have going on? Why am I choosing to spend time on this? Again, being very clear on this. Like, I had a very good saying that time is the currency of entrepreneurs. You notice we say the phrase spend time, as in spend money. We are spending a resource in order to pursue this. So it's just a case of making sure that I'm very clear on why it is that I want to pursue this, and making sure that this is a good opportunity to pursue. And then finally, what leverage do we have? What puts us in a unique position to get extrapolated outcomes based on our inputs? In this case, like we have a model here, again, just keeping it to be like a simple and understandable example, easy to work with. So this was an example in a model that we know. Is she hardworking? She's willing to do all types of content. We have leverage by keeping like a higher percentage of income. We have leverage through our technical capabilities, and we have leverage through our foam farm and cheap staff in Georgia. The next thing that we're going to do is outline the kind of the core steps of what is needed to actually push them. So based on where we currently are to get to our end goal of $250,000 per month, what are the expected steps? Sign contract, create 2,000, collect from creator. But basically you would map out step by step how you foresee the journey. It's not like a business plan, it's what steps need to be taken in order for you to get from where you currently are, sign contract, collect contract from model, set up weekly system for getting contact from the model, assign a manager for the model, hire a chatting team for the model, hire marketing team, train marketing team, set up Instagram profiles, do 3 posts per day. So that would be just like a rough example. Here I'm pushing like quite heavily towards doing Instagram Reels being like the primary marketing strategy. But we are going to set up other marketing strategies as well. Then what you actually do is you would break these down into milestones. These are like high level goals. You can drag it in and drop it, and we can also drag and drop it into tasks. For example, for sign contract, I can drag it here, and now that's been added into my tasks database. Tasks are tasks for me, whereas milestones are more higher level. They're things that I want the business to complete, but generally it's going to be someone else working towards getting them done. Tasks are very direct on, this needs to be given to someone. I'll complete the tasks myself, but other times, like here we have give the model, make 100 videos using green screen videos is an example task. So I just need to give that to the model, get her to do it, and then that can be ticked off. So anything here that is in not started, by the way, is automatically synced over to my calendar. So the way that I've grouped these together is, in fact, let me just slow it down for 1 second. If we come down to strategies, here I've filled out already some example strategies that I would like to execute with this specific creator. So we have things like Twitter comment replies, TikTok live strategy, Reddit chatting, Reels strategy, Twitter retweeting, free trial links, a re-engagement campaign for OnlyFans, advanced link cloaking, TikTok to Reels using face swapping. And then if we come into one of these strategies, for example, Twitter comment replies, here we have the status as active, department could be marketing. This can automatically be updated, so I actually sync over to here from make. Owner is who is like managing, who is executing on this strategy. So in this case, this strategy is assigned to James, and all of these databases, by the way, communicate with each other. So you'll see what I mean as I continue to go on that down the system. James is here, or if we haven't got someone in the team that can do it, it can be a need to hire position. And the way that works is we can open up here, and this makes it very easy. I'm saying I need someone to handle these responsibilities, to have these strategies. And so instead of writing up like a generic job description of we need someone who's hardworking, who does blah, 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 we can actually share some of these strategies with this person and say, look, this is going to be the exact job that you're going to be doing. Under here, we have all of the different tools that they'll be working with. If they're working with Dolphin, if they're working with Integromat, if they're working with Airtable, with proxies, with mobile devices, whatever it may be, this will all automatically get pulled up in here. So we can say, these are the tools that you'll be working with. We can literally just copy it. These are the responsibilities that you have. This is an outline of the strategy. Is that going to work? Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty cool. So it can literally automatically generate a job description for us based off of the linked strategy here, as well as say all of the tools that are going to be used that they need to be working on. This is my contacts database, by the way, just to walk through this very quickly. I really like to know the goals of everyone to understand people's motivations. Definitely good to know what people are motivated by at the moment, what they're working towards. And I read a book called Karmic Management, basically about you can see a lot more success yourself by focusing on pushing other people to be successful, by focusing on helping other people to be successful. If you can understand people's goals and motivations, perhaps there's value that you can deliver to help people get there. If an employee has a specific goal, something that they want to learn about, a particular advancement they want to make in their career, something they're interested to work with, it makes a lot of sense for you as the manager or business owner to know that. Number one, I think it makes the relationship a lot more personal, but if you're able to help push them in that direction, perhaps if someone's very interested in AI and you get some particular project open up, you can say, hey, I know we spoke about this before, you said you're interested in XYZ, I think this could be something good for you to learn this on. I just think it makes a really nice organization. And then I also have reviews. So reviews we'll go through here. This is being done in a professional sense. You could also look at doing things like reviewing your friends or your relationships. It depends how systemized, how deep you want to go with systems. We often say you become the version of the 5 people that you spend the most time with, but how often do you actually go through and review your friends? Just in saying, is this something that really delivers value into my life? Is this something that is currently supporting my goals? And it's not a case of if it's not supporting your goals, you just have to cut it off immediately. Perhaps you need to talk to that person or whatever, work on the relationship in some way, but just having some periodic reviews of the people that you're engaging with and the people that you're spending time with. Because I do this in my business every single month on all of the employees, so potentially opportunity to do it there for your personal relationships as well, but I'll leave that up to you. Okay, and then the other thing that you'll see at the top here is we have all these systems and strategies and SOPs that are linked to this business. You can see we've got 23 different strategies and SOPs currently linked to this girl, so we can find everything from the top very easily and go into it. We can open from here to get more information on any of these specific things, but it's accessible from multiple different points throughout the database. So you could actually do what's called a roll-up. Because we link all of the software being used on this project, if we put expenses, the monthly cost of that software, it would actually roll up. So we would have our fixed expenses. Let's say we spend $20,000 per month on software and various different tools, whatever it may be. And then staff expenses, we could also roll up because we have them connected in the people database. So if we just write the salary of each person, this would give a sum here of your staff expenses for this month are X and your fixed expenses for software and so on are Y. And you could also do a rough profit. So just at a glance, you can quickly see where you're currently at in terms of expenses. And then we have the platform here, Twitter. And so the great thing about this is we can literally open Twitter and we can have all of the resources and knowledge that we have related to Twitter as a platform. So if someone's never worked on Twitter before, or if we have key points that will help them get off to the right start, we can just dump this down in here. Getting started on Twitter. We could use templates for this as well, but my point is just making things really easy for people to be able to find. We need a nice little audio icon that makes everything look a bit cleaner and nicer. Same thing for Airtable as well. So for all the software and tools that need to be used in order to complete this job, if we link to them here, with one click they can open Airtable, see how views work, this is how filters work, this is how we correctly mark something as being done. That's also interesting, but it's not specific just for this job. So that would just be generic information related to Airtable. Down here is where we get specific to this job. Here we store all of the SOPs related for this strategy. So how to approve a new Twitter account, how to reply to comments, And then we have a link to the automations that are used in order to get this strategy to work. So we have two automations. We have one that finds new Twitter profiles. So it searches Twitter and it finds OnlyFans girls that are using Twitter and they're promoting. And then we have this second automation that scrapes all of those profiles that it has found to look for all of their posts. And then it puts them in Airtable. And then we have a ranking system that reviews all of the content they've posted and tries to work out what do we have the most potential of receiving the most views for. And then that is made accessible to the team members. So here we have James, who is managing this process, and his job is to reply to comments. So he can also open this, and it has the steps that are outlined in order to actually reply to the comments and make sure that the job is being done properly. Here we have analytics down the bottom as well, so if we need to track, we can actually open this. When he has replied to a specific post in Airtable, he just marks a checkbox saying that it has been done, and that then updates Airtable, and we can do things like see how many posts he replied to in a day, and we could also have a manager. So we have down here QA and performance reviews. We could have this manager just go through and verify that what he checked off in Airtable is actually being done. Again, it doesn't need to be done all the time. We could have this down as like a weekly review just to make sure everything's being done properly. Under reviews as well, we could also do like a Twitter tracking OF link, and we could embed this down here so that I can easily open this strategy and I can just have an easy overview of how many clicks, how many subs, how much revenue did this generate, how many replies were being done per day by James, and we can add in more performance reviews as well. This is a very simple example. Someone's copying and pasting comments, and we just have one for quality assurance and one for actual performance and measuring of results. So two SOPs, two automations in order to get the strategy to work, and performance reviews. On other examples, and then we have tasks. So tasks are only, for me, I need to make sure that we're tracking at least 15,000 Twitter creators. I need to make sure that the posts are being done on a daily basis. At least 100 are being done per day. So we could do an Airtable automation, for example. Airtable automation, send daily email for total posts replied to manager. To whoever's managing that. So someone can verify how many things are being done per day. I need to build that, so build Airtable email automation, and I need to build a system for approving new Twitter accounts, because the bot will do its best to make sure that it's an OF account that it finds, but it's good to have like kind of manual approval process to make sure that they actually match the type of criteria that we're looking for. Yeah, so that is like one strategy, and now I've added those tasks in down there. So here we can see these are all of the tasks. This is what is required in order for us to get the strategy to be active. You can hide it if you don't like them to be visible there as well. I just like to have them visible here. So you can see the one we just added, build new Airtable email automation, is visible there. So I have like a quick overview of, in order for us to get this strategy to be active and running, what actually needs to be done. Or if you prefer a cleaner view, it's also available within our master tasks database. So if we come down to Twitter comment replies, you'll see it's also visible there. That is an empty thing, build email automation. So all of these, that's what I mean, all of these databases are synced and communicate with each other, and I'll go even more into how that works as like an entire system as we continue to progress through the examples. Maybe account warm-up strategy. So from this template, we have upload 24 approved posts. So SOP would be set up 4G proxy, and we would then write out all of the steps in order to get that working. Next would be create Instagram account, and of course there are specific steps that we need to follow here in order to not get flagged. Next would be profile Instagram account, and then we would have a bot, Instagram scraper bot, that would run through and check that everything has been done, and then I would probably do a manual post QA check. And then we would also do maybe a pinned stories check. So that would be like a quick example, and then I can come through and write out the software that we're going to be using is, let's say, Instagram What else are we using? Let's say that's what's needed in order to get this work. If anyone hasn't worked with those tools before, they can just quickly open this and we would have like a video explaining what actually needs to be done. And then again, here under tasks, I can say, write SOP on setting up 4G proxy. Again, these tasks are being given to me. So I'm only working on setup of the system as a whole. Assign team member to start creating IG accounts, whatever. And now what you'll see is those tasks have been added into, they will have been added up here, yeah, so they're now accessible. So these are all strategies that I have tasks for, and then if there's no task, no SOP assigned to it, it means it's just like generic tasks that need to be done anyway. And the other thing that I like to do is, if we're not ready to start a task, I can just put it down to someday maybe or idea. I can also use this just for chucking down some ideas, or maybe if I hear about a strategy I think is interesting, or I have an idea of a strategy, I can write it up here, but it doesn't mean that I need to execute on it straight away. I just want to store the information here. It will only be synced over to my calendar if the status is set to not started, because it means it's something that I need to execute on. The next thing that we can do, and there's a couple of different ways that we can do this, we can, if I know that I want to set up this strategy, let's say, and I haven't got someone to own this project yet, I can say we need to hire, and you'll see this is now linked here automatically, so I can work from here. I need someone for creating accounts, I need someone for profiling accounts. So for example, under here we could do account creator and account poster. So they will then be added down to the team down here. And the reason I put account creator and account poster is, let's say that you're starting from scratch and you haven't got a team yet. This is telling you these are the hires that you're going to need to make. Maybe you could merge those together, so you have one person for creating accounts, one person for posting accounts. Personally, we like to have dedicated team members for making accounts, simply because we operate so many Instagram accounts. It just makes it much easier to separate out the two responsibilities. And you see this has an avatar as a face, so it means it's someone that we haven't hired yet. This is like an avatar of someone that we need to hire. We can also go in here and map out like what are the skills that we need this person to have. So an account creator, we need to be organized, attention to detail, not really a problem solver, it's very repetitive, but like someone that you can just give something to and they're just going to get it done. And so I know they're the types of skills that I'm looking for in that type of person. Map out very clearly the tasks and responsibilities that we need of them. I think, yeah, we went through that already. For example, for another role, maybe I need them to be more creative or more able to think on their feet, and I'm happy for them to be a little bit slower. So just mapping out what are the actual skills, what are the things that would make someone good in this position, and this is making like an empty avatar of this is a role that I need to hire for, and I can come out, map out the skills and responsibilities, put out the skills that someone needs in this position, and then I can start to do LinkedIn outreach, Instagram ads, go through my network, do job boards, work with local recruitment agencies, whatever's needed in order to hire this type of person. Okay, so you can see how everything starts to map together. We work out what are the strategies that we want to execute on. We write out the SOPs that are needed in order to execute on that strategy. We write out the automations that are needed to get that strategy to work, and then we write out the review process and the quality assurance process in order to make sure that strategy is being fulfilled correctly. Each of those stages has its own either manager or owner of that, so it's very clear who is responsible for that. And then we map out here what are the actual tasks that are needed to take this strategy from an idea to being active. And then this is then synced over to my calendar to be executed on. In many cases, it's a case of me passing on this work to someone else. So I can group together, okay, if I want to set up this TikTok live strategy, we have someone already in the team who can do that. On Monday, I need to have a call with that person, tell them this is what you need to do, It's now being passed over to them. I can just literally open this, share access, publish it and give them access so they can see exactly what I'm expecting of them. They can see all of the SOPs and all of the related documentation, and also give employees a responsibility that they are able to update any documentation that is within the company. So if something isn't clear to them, they're able to ask their manager a question on what are they supposed to do here. But then once they've asked that question, they need to update the documentation to contain that information so that then the next person who comes on to do that job, if we onboard a new person, they're not going to have the same question. They're not going to be stuck on the same thing because the documentation has already been updated. For example, if we have like 24/7 chat, it's not really a strategy, but it's something that needs to be done. 24/7 chatting, it means that we need to have 5 team members. So chatter 1, chatter 2, chatter 3, chatter 4, chatter 5. Then we could also add in like model content collection. Again, we need to add in the owner. Again, what are like the skill sets that the model manager would need? Really, it's going to be about communication and organization is what makes a good manager, or if it's someone who's had experience working on OF before, also tends to work pretty well. And some people get very, when I tell them that we have 12 to 15 people working on one OF, they often can't believe it. But you can see here how, we're not actually managing our own chatting at the moment. I'm actually outsourcing that. So this isn't a requirement for us. But you can see here, if we just have a few strategies in place, bearing in mind to manage 2,000 Instagram accounts, we have one employee able to manage between 150 to 180 Instagram accounts because of the systems and automation that we have in place. It's still 11 employees that are needed in order to manage just that many Instagram accounts. So very quickly on one profile, if we're managing chatting and everything ourselves, we can have a team of 12 to 20 people working on an OF account. So, but anyway, the purpose of this, I didn't want to add in too much here. It's just to give you like an overview of you being able to visually see, this is the type of strategies that I want to run. This is a rough resemblance of what my team needs to look like in order for me to execute on this and get all of this set up. So this is us just like planning out and mapping. It's very kind of scattered, but just to give like a visual overview of these are the strategies, this is the team, these are the tasks, these are the milestones I'm expecting in order for us to have a successful project. Progress is generally measured through reviews. Every strategy needs at least one review, one performance review, and also every team member needs to have at least one type of performance review that we go through with them. It can be a template because a lot of the things are quite similar that we'll go over. So everyone working in like the Instagram reposting team will have the exact same performance review, and we have automated analytics in terms of the total number of accounts that they're working on, the views that they generated. But in that case, we are measuring only them based on activity. We're not basing them on results because they're executing our strategy and content from the model, so it's a lot of things that they haven't really got control over. So we would never kind of punish over results in that point, because it could be a case that it's just not good content from the model or something like that. We're measuring them based on how many posts they're doing per day, what is the space between each post, how many total accounts are they managing, and yeah. So to spend just 30 minutes planning out what is this project going to look like, what is it successful to you, having an idea of the strategies, the teams, the tasks, the milestones that were involved in this project before giving a commitment and actually moving ahead is just an invaluable way to spend time. Okay, so now we've done the planning, now we can go on to execution. So execution, assign project lead. I no longer allow myself to be the lead of a project. I'm operating from I would say like a bird's eye view. I don't want all of the problems of the project coming to me. So this project lead is like the CEO, and they basically establish a barrier between everyone in the project and myself. Everything goes to the CEO. Then we have add assistant to this project. I would add in my assistant to oversee everything. She has access to this entire system, by the way. She's able to see absolutely everything. It needs a lot of maintenance, but the good thing is you only have to teach the assistant once, because this template, as I mentioned, is transferable to all different types of businesses. So once she understands everything that needs to be done, you could have your assistant managing for you 3, 4, 5, maybe even more different, depending on the size of the projects, because it's all now systemized and you're following the exact same system across all of your different organizations. Who do I need to hire? I've built out that system already under planning, and we've mapped that out. We may start to look at, do I need a CEO? If you don't have an assistant, you are the assistant. Very true. If you have not got an assistant, it just means you need to be the person to do all of the tasks that your assistant would do. So I can strongly encourage most of you to get an assistant, assuming that you have the budget for it. Again, if you haven't, there's no shame in it. I definitely literally started from nothing without any assistant. Yeah, if it just depends on where you are at your stage in your career. Who do we need to hire? Who do we need to speak to? This is another really interesting question. So do I have people that have run a similar business to this? Who can I learn from? Maybe like books that I can read. We've mapped out most of this already though. What opportunities do we have for leverage? The milestones should always be here. So it should be 2,000 Instagram profiles. And I can fill all of these out later. The reason I like them at the top though is because it's always reminding you of these are the key steps that need to be taken in order to push this project forward. They should now be appearing here, which they are. That's great. So idea or someday maybe won't be synced over onto my calendar, but if it's a not started task, it will automatically be synced over to my calendar. So it's just a case of prioritization of making sure that I do actually need to execute on this. And now it's literally a case of execution. So anything that is in not started needs to be worked on. So that means, for example, like some of the tasks here, I need to build out some automation. I need to build out a system here for approving the new account. I need to track 15,000 creators. I need to talk to specific team members in order to tick these things off. These aren't all things that I'm going to be doing myself, for example, speaking with the model about a TikTok streaming schedule, hiring freelancers in some places for getting these things done. These are all of the things that need to be executed on in order for these strategies to become operational and for us to start heading towards the milestones and goals there. So we've mapped everything out and now it's just a case of executing it and getting everything done. I'm sure as time goes along, you will come up with new strategies, changes that need to be made into the strategies and things that need to be kind of removed. And again, the way that I've made the structure of this page is that in order for you to add in a new task, like the easiest way to do it is to come into opening up the strategy and adding in that task. It's the fastest way for you to do it, which means that the strategy remains up to date and there's less friction in terms of maintaining the system. You, like most of the time, you're working from strategies. And the other reason that this also works, by the way, is I always used to find I would set up a project. And you can look at these strategies. They're almost sub-projects within a project. They could almost be projects within themselves. And I used to run into so much friction because we would have like one main project as a model, but then I've got all these different sub-projects. Like I've got all these different marketing channels that are operating and going on that are projects within themselves with subtasks within themselves. And it just didn't really work. Whereas now this is all categorized as one project and these are just different strategies within them. And it's very clearly defined what needs to be done in order for this strategy to become active. And you are also required to set an owner to every single strategy to make sure that it's being executed on, as well as your review and quality assurance processes. So now we come down onto like profit. How can we make this like a no-brainer offer? I think is a really good question, stolen from $100 million offers. How can we blow clients away? What is a wow experience that we can deliver for clients? So again, this applies to business, but it also applies to OF profiles. How can you make it a 100% no-brainer offer? How can we reduce expenses? So that can either be from software, from moving around tools, from eradicating unnecessary things, perhaps people, perhaps, for example, we made like some optimizations the other week with how we do reposting, where we were able to increase our entire team from managing 150 accounts doing Reels reposting to doing 180 accounts. So our cost to manage per IG account was reduced significantly. What are non-profit making activities that we're currently doing? Again, really good question to ask yourself. What are strategies or things that you're currently doing that aren't making you money? Get rid of them. And yet, just going through this, remember, this isn't just a template for OF models. This is a template for all of my businesses. Scale, this is, I think, where things start to get interesting. Like a good starting place is to have at least 5 systems in place for fulfillment, 3 in place for marketing, 3 in place for sales. You should have that very easily. This is an overview of all of the systems and SOPs that are operational within your business. This is only for Twitter comment reply strategy. So if we do everyone else, here we have a high level overview of all of the systems and SOPs that are currently being used within the business. And as well, we can add the relation to where are they currently being used and what software and tools are being used. Yeah, so we can see where they're actually being used. We could even group by where they're being used. You're not able to add in a system until you reach the scale stage. You don't have direct access to this database. You need to go through the strategy and add in a system from there. It forces you to work from strategies to make sure that you're building systems and working on tasks related to specific strategies that should make you money. So it's just a kind of way of staying focused. Down here you have an overview of all of the people within your team in case you need to quickly go into any of them. And also you have access to all of the reviews that are taking place within your business. So for me, this is now how a business should really look. Instead of me having an endless list of tasks, what do we now have? We have our systems. We have the people that are working every day and executing on this stuff and completing these tasks and making sure that everything is being done. By the way, systems also includes automation. So systems is either an SOP or it's a bot/automation that is operating within your business. I much prefer to manage automations from here, and I can also update within Notion the last time that specific automation was actually ran, for us to be able to keep an eye on it. And if it hasn't ran within our desired time frame, for example, if we're expecting it to run every 8 hours and it hasn't done, you can easily trigger a Slack notification. I also don't really like managing all the automations from make.com. It becomes a bit more, messy, but they also have an API in Make where you could actually you could sync over all automations that you create in Make into Notion and have their status up to date as well. Anyway, this is our SOP template. So we have the departments. This is related to marketing, let's say. This is an SOP. Here we can embed a Loom video. I'm doing a lot with Loom at the moment, quickly becoming one of my favorite tools. What is the purpose of this SOP? Any context/relevant documentation, terminology. So for example, proxy. Let's say the key terms being used so that it's very easy for someone with no experience can read this instruction sheet and go and execute. So we have Loom videos up there, links to all the tools, tips. And so, for example, this would be things not to do, common mistakes maybe that people made, or things to avoid. And then the entire procedure laid out here and the process. And then also, as I mentioned, we allow the team to give any feedback that can be added to make sure that we are constantly improving all of the processes within our organization. But yeah, as I was saying, the thing that I really allows you to scale is instead of looking at individual tasks that I need to do, we need to be looking at what are our systems, what are our SOPs, who are the people that we're working with, and what strategies are we working on, and how are we tracking the performance, which is being done through reviews. So everything is available and accessible here. These are the things that are going to help you to scale. Automate, again, this is where we look for opportunities to automate through either people, systems, technology, what hires need to be made, what systems can be built, map out entire funnels. And so I would actually do this for every single system that we have. And this is just based on lean manufacturing principles. So what are non-essential steps? What can we remove from the process? What are non-value adding steps? What things can we merge together, and what can be automated entirely? Maybe I should have made this more clear. This is like a foundation. So it is purposefully kept to be generic because it needs to be in a way that I can clone this for any business that I go into work on, any project I go into work on. This needs to be applicable. So it's not just related to OF. This can be for a SaaS business, for e-commerce, for agency, for a model, for a course, for a physical business. These need to be applicable to everything. So I don't want to be going in and deleting things and changing the wording of stuff. So I've purposefully tried to keep it in this way. So of course, under automate and scale, maybe there's what we want to expand on this a lot more on these specific sections to add in a lot more information around automation, or maybe some more specific things related to the specific business. Absolutely. This is just a template to lay out a solid foundation, solid principles on how to build a business. But absolutely, we would go deeper. I would even adjust different areas of this depending on the business that I'm working on. Congratulations, celebrate your success. I think it sounds so simple, but this is a really good thing to do. So I have a rewards database with kind of bucket list things that I want to do in my life. It can be anything from going to the Maldives to buying something that I don't really need. And then choosing, what do we do? Are we going to look to exit this company, or are we going to just automate ourselves out of the company? No right or wrong answer at all. Again, completely depends on the business and your personal situation, what your goals are. But being able to say that you have successfully implemented everything, again, this is really the way that I feel that businesses should be run. And as I mentioned, I'm moving myself more into working just with leverage, team, systems, people, media as well, YouTube actually being one of them, but Loom as well being a perfect example of how we can utilize media. I can record myself once and I can share it with the team, so we can give training on all these different tools. We can have internal courses on how to train every team member to be technical, to make automations, to work with ChatGPT. Going on to that as well, the direction that I'm really thinking to take this channel in is things like this, which I think is very practical, at least I hope it is. This is things that I am using in the real world that I think anyone can go ahead and apply into their businesses. So I would think, I would like to look at it as being practical. The other thing that I've been doing is I'm listening to so many audiobooks, and I'm looking at making a weekly review of everything that I've learned. I've made lessons that I've learned, books that I've read, and like giving like high level things, software that I'm using, things that I've built, and just outlining that in a snappy offload of my weekly review of what I've done this week, just an information dump. And the other benefit of that as well is there's a lot of cases where it's not really worth me making like a full-length video on something. Maybe there's something to talk about for a minute or two, which I think is very interesting, but to make a full video on it just wouldn't make sense. So this kind of allows me to do that, to touch over a lot of different topics very quickly. The only reason I haven't been doing that is because I haven't got an editor at the moment. Editors for me are being like notoriously flaky or just not up to standard. They're hard to get committed to a particular project. But anyway, I hope that this video was valuable. And now you can see at the top as well, we have access to all of our systems, all of the tasks that need to be done, performance reviews, like everything is easily here and available. Yeah, this is still like a work in progress as well. I actually just put this together yesterday. This is like after like multiple iterations. I've got it wrong multiple times, but I really feel that now it's in an interesting place. It's a little bit complicated, so I hope that I was able to explain it in a way that you were able to follow along with. And I've gone through all of the different sections. Personally, I'm not opposed to like sharing the template itself, just it won't work because I've got so many different relational databases here that all need to communicate with each other. But hopefully by me going through every single thing, like at least showing everything step by step, you're able to, if it's interesting for you, able to like copy or just even take some of the things that you found interesting and introduce them into your own Notion system. The only other thing I'll say is like I suggest everyone to use AMIE as a calendar, AMIE, because it integrates with Notion, but I'll talk about that in another video. And that is how I'm now automatically syncing over all tasks over to my calendar, and they're then auto-scheduled on my calendar as well.